Zone Media.
Hey everyone, Robert Evans here, and on Thursday, September 25th at 8 p.m., Behind the Bastards is doing a live show. The show itself is in Portland, Oregon, but all of the in-person seats have sold out. However, there are live stream tickets available. If you go to Alberta Rose Theatre, Theatre, Behind the Bastards, just type that into Google or whatever search engine you use, Alberta Rose Theatre, Behind the Bastards, you can find a link to buy tickets for the live show. This is to benefit the Portland Defense Fund, which helps bail people out who don't have, resources of their own. So it's a good cause. Tickets are $25 for the live stream version of the show. So please go to Alberta Rose Theatre, Behind the Bastards, and pick up a live stream show to check it out on Thursday, September 25th at 8 p.m. And we're back. This is Behind the Bastards, part... What is it? 6 on Heinrich fucking Himmler?
200 million.
4,080, bro.
I held off. People always wonder, why has Robert not done this guy yet? Why has he not done that guy yet? And there's always a mix of things, like, why haven't I done Mao yet? Well, because I don't know a whole lot about Chinese history, and I'm going to have to do a shitload of reading to, do those episodes well, and I'm just, nervous about fucking it up and of the amount of work it's going to take. And Himmler, I was nervous about the amount of work it was going to take, but I was primarily nervous because prior to doing this, I had read a lot of the books on Heinrich Himmler that exist, and a lot of this was just going back and rereading portions, but there's so much. I knew I was I'm not going to be able to write this in less than fucking 6 episodes. The amount of Heinrich Himmler I want to talk about, I'm not going to be able to do that quickly, so I should wait until we've really got some time to let these episodes breathe.
Yeah. So, dude, I think I when it, even with my show, I come up with an idea. I'm like, dude, I could feel okay, this will be fresh. And then I kind of in my sort of my imagination start doing the show where I'm like, okay, so in my head I would say this, and then you get to a point in the thing where I'd be like, oh, well, this part would need this type of background understanding. Oh, I don't know shit about that. And then I was like, oh wait, so then that would mean that I'd have to learn this. And then, okay, so I would need to prove I would need to show the statistical data about this. And then, the workload is just growing in my imagination. And I'm like, yeah, bro, nah, I'm gonna set that idea to the side, homie. That's cool. We gonna have to do this when my children are on vacation or something.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So before we get into more Himmler, I want to just highlight, if you want to donate to the Portland Defense Fund and help people who have literally nobody else in their corner make bail and fight charges, often bullshit charges against them, go to Defense Fund PDX fundraiser on Donor Box. Just type Defense Fund PDX fundraiser and Donor Box into Google, or go to Venmo and go to @Defense Fund PDX, Defense Fund PDX, and you can send the money that way too. Anyway, let's talk about a guy who would not have been supportive of bail funds for the very poor, Heinrich Himmler. Not really supportive of bail or people getting out of jail or concentration camps in general. Not a big fan of any of that stuff.
Yeah.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Life gets messy. Spills, stains, pet accidents, and kid chaos. But with Anabay, cleaning up is easy. Our sofas are fully machine washable, inside and out, so you never have to stress about messes again. Made with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics, that means fewer stains and more peace of mind. Designed for real life, our sofas feature changeable fabric covers, allowing you to refresh your style anytime. Need flexibility? Our modular design lets you rearrange your sofa effortlessly. Perfect for cozy apartments or spacious homes. Plus, they're earth-friendly and built to last. That's why over 200,000 happy customers have made the switch. Upgrade your space today. Sofas start at just $699. Visit washablesofas.com now and bring home a sofa made for life. That's washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. So when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it comes to making an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the one you'll call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Hey, this is U.S. Olympic gold medalist Tara Davis-Woodhull.
And I'm U.S. Paralympic gold medalist Hunter Woodhull.
As athletes, our lives are about having a clear path.
And a team that you can absolutely trust.
So when it came to getting the best mortgage,
we chose PennyMac.
PennyMac is proud to be the official mortgage provider of Team USA and you.
Learn more at pennymac.com. PennyMac Loan Services, LLC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 35953. Licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Conditions and restrictions may apply.
So, Himmler by this point is, he's in power. He's actually helping to run most of law enforcement at this point. The SS has become the premier organization for running concentration camps. So he's doing about as well as he's going to ever be doing at this stage in the story. And he's also the highest ranking guy left, other than maybe Rudolf Hess, who's super into the weird magic shit related to this tortured version of Nordic mythology that all of these different, Liszt and Liebenfels, these guys had crafted during his, adolescence.
The last weirdo.
So that means Himmler and his organization, the SS, become the go-to clearinghouse for mystics who are interested in this stuff still and want to build a place for themselves in the Third Reich. And one of these weirdos who goes to Himmler, because he knows Himmler's the same kind of weirdo I am, is Karl Maria Willigut. Now, Karl
Maria
was an Karl Maria Willigut. I mean, he's an Austrian. They throw Maria in wherever the fuck they can. True. Yeah, I mean, no one loves the name Maria more than Austrians.
Yeah.
Maybe the Italians. That's what World War I was largely about. Italy and Austria fighting over who gets to use Maria.
Yeah, I was thinking about middle school and the amount of girls whose middle name was Marie.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an Austrian somewhere in the back of that family line.
Yeah, I was like, y'all are Austrian, ain't you?
Yeah.
All right, anyway.
So, he was an Austrian Willigut, and he was an officer in the Habsburg imperial military. He's like a colonel, so he's fairly high ranking.
Okay.
But he's in the pre-war period, he's like an occult scholar in the mold of Liszt and Liebenfels. He's one of these nerds who cannot enjoy someone else's canon, so he has to create his own. And this is what's interesting. Liszt and Liebenfels both create their own canon, right? Liszt has his Armanen warrior priests, and, to an extent, Liebenfels is happy to just be like, oh yeah, that stuff's right, and I'm going to yes and it, and just kind of add to it.
Yeah.
But Willigut doesn't play nice with others, so he rejects Liszt's Armanen priest cult, and he creates his own ancient priest cult, the Irmanen. Totally different.
Yeah, just totally different. It's like McDowell's.
It's like if someone
watches.
It's like someone watching Star Wars and being like, "Well, I'm going to create my own totally original thing called Star War," and it's original and legally distinct.
Yeah, Star Battles. What are you talking about?
Airwalker. Yeah. Dark Vader.
Yes.
It really is that lazy. And fucking Willigut's Irmanen are identical to the Armanen in every meaningful way, except the Armanen get their magic powers from Wotan, but the Irmanen get their magic powers from the god Irmin. Now, Irmin probably was not an ancient Norse deity. Like, he was probably never worshipped by the Wotan. There was a point at which people really worshipped Wotan, right? I mean, some people still do, but
there was a Wotan
clan. The Wotan clan.
There was a Wotan clan. Got it.
Yes, there absolutely was. And in his book on the Nazi occult, Bill Yin writes, quote, "Some scholars of ancient Germanic literature have suggested that Irmin may actually have been merely an avatar or pseudonym for Wotan, as this name does not come up in German writing until relatively recent times. Nevertheless, Willigut continued to believe in Irmin's unique identity, as he believed the ancient Irminists communicated with him. The spirits told Willigut that the German people had originated 2,300 centuries before, in a time when giants, dwarves, and mythical beasts moved about beneath a sky filled with 3 suns. The Irmin went on to whisper to Willigut that the Irminist god was named Christ and that the Christians had stolen the term from them." And his spelling is Krist, but right?
Yes.
Again, because all of these guys, they're anti-Christian. They we saw Himmler started moving against Christianity when the Catholic Church was like, well, I guess if Jews convert, it's okay. And Himmler's like, nah, not to me.
Time out, homie.
And all of these guys listed in Liebenfels part of this. They're this kind of pagan revival. And Willigut is specifically like, no. The Jews stole Christ from the Irminists, right? Like, that's where that the name came from. That's where, like, they took it in order to cuck our Nordic faith and Jewify it. That's what Christianity is, right? That's literally the way these guys are basically talking.
They're gentrifiers, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and specifically like Christianity and its focus on social justice and like taking care of people. Mm-hmm. Like, the Catholic Church, no one's going to claim as a perfect organization, but the Catholic Church legitimately believes it's bad if poor brown people starve to death.
They do believe that.
Like, now, do they devote all of their resources to stopping starving? No, of course not.
Yes.
But that is like, there are Catholic aid organizations that help non-white people, and you don't have to be white to be a Catholic. And that's really not cool to these guys. And so they're like, well, obviously, all of this tolerance stuff is built in the Jews when they created this, sinister, when they created this fake religion that they tricked the West into being. That's what they, that was part of why, is they were trying to make us more tolerant of degeneracy. Like that's that's the anti-Christian argument from these guys, essentially, right? Christianity is way too tolerant.
Wow. Here's the problem with Christianity.
Yeah, tolerance.
It allows other people to be alive.
Right. They don't. But the average Christian belief is not murder everyone else.
Yes.
Which is where we're going to take it.
Yes.
And that does. We talk a lot about like, why are the Nazis different than other bad regimes that existed? Because they are. Like, we talk about the U.S. got up to a lot of hideous stuff that has genocides in its that it had committed and was in the process of committing when the Nazis started their rise to power. Right. And the same is true of the USSR, right? The Holodomor, horrible things done by the USSR. Both the US and the USSR did nightmarish things and were also states outside of that, in that they did other stuff. Their product of the USSR was not just death and starvation. They got the first man into orbit. They massively, like the change in the situation for like women's rights from Tsarist Russia to the USSR, and in terms of like literacy, massive. And likewise, the United States sent a bunch of food all over the world, was responsible for rebuilding countries after World War II, put men on the moon. The only products of the US and the USSR, they produced death and they produced other things. The only thing Nazism ever creates is death. Right?
Yes.
And the few scientific advancements that come from the Nazis come from the fact that they're trying to kill people, right? And occasionally that leads you to make a rocket or something, right?
Yeah.
But the Nazi state doesn't and never could have made anything but death. And that is fundamentally different from these other states, even from like fucking Maoist China. The only product of the Chinese Communist Party is not just death, which does not mean ignoring the bad things done by these states, by the US or anyone. It just means that like, well, they did other things. The Nazis only kill people.
We did some other shit too.
Yeah. So we're talking about this guy Willigut and his Irminist cult that totally isn't ripped off from the Arminins. And Willigut's particular special interest is in this very real geographic site in Germany called the Irminsul, which is a natural rock formation in Germany that he and other Volkish neo-pagans believe was created by humans. Geologists say no, this is just sort of like a weird-looking natural formation. It's kind of like the Giant's Causeway, where it's this natural formation, but there are like myths about it being something ancient people made.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think it's giants in the case of the Giant's Causeway, literally. But
probably.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm remembering right, there was like a Scottish giant and he was fighting with this Irish. Anyway, we don't need to get into the lore too much because I don't remember it perfectly. But this is another case like that where there's this natural thing, and Willigut is among a number of Volkish neo-pagans who are like, this was the Stonehenge of our ancient ancestors. It was created to like harness mystical power. Right? This is like a bunch of ley lines converge here, right?
Okay.
And so after World War I ended, and with it Willigut's military career, he gets cashiered out, his empire goes away, and he doubles down on writing these books and tracts about the Ice Kings, the Irmanen Ice Kings, and he just kind of loses his mind, right? He convinces himself that these Ice Kings are his ancestors. He's like the descendant or reincarnation of one of these great Ice Kings. Now, his real life is falling apart as he's descending into fantasy. His young son dies of an illness. Obviously, his empire goes away. His career goes away. His family, like, financial situation changes dramatically. So he just completely gives up his connection to reality in favor of this fantasy. And his wife and family are not happy with this, right? Especially because as he gets more delusional, he grows more physically abusive, right? Okay. And so he'll have these days-long psychotic fits where he'll rant from talking about the days when he was an Ice King to just beating the shit out of his wife, right?
Okay.
And it's bad enough that she, in 1927, think of how hard this would be to do in 1927. His wife gets him abducted off the street by the police at a cafe in Salzburg, diagnosed as schizophrenic and locked in an asylum.
Whoa.
To have that done to you as the man, to have your wife be able to do that in 1920, you have to be exhibiting some pretty out there behavior. Right?
You got to be out of there. Yeah.
It is, it's easy for a parent to have a kid locked up or something like that for bullshit reasons. For a wife to have her husband locked up, not easy in 1927.
That's wild.
He was out of fucking pocket.
Yeah.
So he gets released after a little while, but the only people willing to associate with him, his family has fucking left. The only people willing to talk to Willigut after he gets out of the mental institution and take him seriously are these Nazis in Austria and Germany, because he's been publishing a newsletter for years, and it was super popular among members of the party, right? Because all of his, his Ice King bullshit, they think it's cool. He's basically writing fantasy novels, you know?
Yeah.
And so these guys convince him, per Yen's book, quote, that he had been locked up not because he was an abusive husband, but because he was a martyr being persecuted for his neo-pagan religious beliefs.
No,
it's not because you hit your wife.
Yeah.
It's because you know the truth about the Ice Kings.
Yo,
That's why the state came after you.
Yeah, so they just used it.
Just anything but holding a man accountable. Just anything but that.
Anything but holding a man accountable.
It's
like that really tells you again where the Nazis are socially in this period. Is
100%.
Like this guy gets out of a mental institution being like, the Ice Kings made my wife leave me after I just hit her a few times. And they're like, that's absolutely religious persecution, Willie, you know? So he travels to Munich in 1932. During the same month, Hitler takes power, and he has a meeting with Heinrich Himmler. So one of the first meetings Himmler has when the Nazis are in power is with this mystic weirdo, Willigut. Now, for hours, Willigut wove stories for Himmler of the Ice Kings and how he discovered that he was their descendant, right? That he had the blood of the Ice Kings in his veins. Yes. And Himmler listens with rapt attention. He falls in love with the idea that his real ancestry might be something more exciting than a line of peasants and merchants who'd done okay for themselves, right?
Yeah,
because obviously, I'm the Reichsfuhrer of the SS. I must have the blood of someone important in my veins. No one without special blood could do anything cool. Right?
Yeah, I'm a descendant of an Ice King.
He's got like Harry Potter syndrome. I must have my real parents or ancestors somewhere must have been important people, you know?
Yes.
Heinrich Himmler is the Harry Potter of the Third Reich. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
So the next year, Willigut gets admitted to the SS. And they do it under a pseudonym because, again, he's disgraced. And his pseudonym translates to Thor Nose. So Himmler, again, the extent to which he is bought into this stuff, you can't exaggerate.
Thor Nose?
Thor Nose. So,
I hate these guys.
They're such fucking dweebs.
Yes.
Himmler makes him head of the Department of Ancient and Prehistory. Which is, itself under Walther Dahr's Race and Settlement Office in the SS. So this is the guy, actually, if the people who were writing the Indiana Jones movies had wanted to, make things a little more historical verisimilitude, you'd have had this guy in the first movie. In Raiders, this would have been the guy like leading the expedition, right? If you wanted to make it a little more accurate, or at least he would have been involved. He would have been like one of their experts, quote unquote.
Okay.
That's not a complaint. I'm just being like, if you want a slightly more accurate version of Raiders, imagine this guy in play.
It belongs in a museum.
Yeah. And I will say, of all of the guys Himmler makes generals in the SS, at least Willigut had been a colonel in an actual military during a war. So this isn't totally out of pocket for him to be declared general. It's like, well, okay, you actually did most of the background work at least. Like, you're crazy, but you did do a lot of the work necessary. So he starts leading in it.
Say what you will about the homie. I know he's got a few weird things about him, but he did do the thing once.
He did the thing once. He's vaguely, it's going to make more sense for him than, Himmler's going to have that kind, like, effectively be a general. And it's like, you don't know shit, Heinrich. Get out of here.
You did. You were not there, bro.
You don't know how to start a military unit. Like, what are you talking about, man? So in a year, and he starts leading his main job. Willigut's main job is he will take SS delegations to sites of magical significance, like the so-called Irminsul, to try to inform them about their real history and about the religion they should be adopting instead of Christianity. There's a picture Sophie's going to put up for those of you online that shows Willigut leading Heinrich Himmler and a bunch of SS officers around this rock formation in 1935. And I think Willigut he's the guy with the cane in the middle there. And right next to him, you can see Heinrich Himmler, the chinless wonder himself.
There he is. The chinless wonder.
And,
every once in a while, you hit a home run every once in a while, bro. The chinless wonder.
I'm just saying, if you had to pick a Nazi to box, he's the Nazi you pick to box because one good left hook into that thing, and he is going down.
Yeah.
Like, that man's jaw, glass is stronger than that man's jaw.
I love it.
Meanwhile, Willigut, that guy looks like he could probably, like, look at that guy's jawline. I mean, he's not a young whippersnapper anymore, but he looks like he could take a hit.
Yeah, not for nothing.
Yeah, not for nothing. So this is, again, and this kind of stuff is happening all throughout the SS's early history. And it's part of, Himmler loves this stuff. So he loves going on these little field trips, and he likes making other SS, because he, in his mind, they're all becoming awoken to the real truth of Wotan and their ancient German ancestors and the magical power in their veins. Now you can see the SS has already made, through this photo, some more steps towards becoming both the organization they'll be known as and towards becoming a knightly order. They all have these big daggers hanging off their belts, which had become part of the official SS uniform in the last couple of years. These have "My honor is loyalty" emblazoned on the blade, right? That's like written on the blade of every SS knife, this appellation that Hitler had put on them, and or this statement that Hitler had, like this like motto that he gave them. And yeah, they're all wearing all black now. You know, they've taken another step up and started contracting, with Hugo Boss to make their uniforms. They're looking good, and they're looking now like Knights Templar, like modern Knights Templar, right? Yeah. And that's so much of it to Himmler, is that the look is right. Yeah. And you have to give him credit in terms of efficacy. That's why a big part of why the SS becomes what it is. And we've talked about this in other episodes. We've talked about SS guys like Eichmann. The cool uniform is part of the appeal, because it says we're an elite organization. If I can just get in here, I'm part of the elite, and I've never gotten to be that. And so I will be loyal to an organization that makes everyone have to agree I matter. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's why what the SS is it's, if you're in the SS, you can't be a failure, right? You can't be a freak or a weirdo or just some like asshole who can't keep his family together. You have to be a success. You're part of the racial elite, And if the world hasn't recognized that yet, it's because the world is bad, and we need to change it via murdering people.
We need to show them the Ice Kings and the Giants and the ancient made-up letters.
They just don't know you have the blood of the Ice Kings in your vein.
You just don't know.
The Ice Kings that you fucking plagiarized off of another guy.
Yeah.
Speaking of plagiarizing the Ice Kings,
is it ad time?
The sponsor of this podcast would never do that. They legitimately are descended from the ancient Ice Kings, but
yeah, bro.
That's neither here nor there.
Dumb.
Let's talk about modern home shopping. It's sort of become a fun side hobby, right? Scrolling listings at night, dreaming about kitchens you've never seen, or backyards you haven't even stepped foot in, all from the comfort of pretty much anywhere. Redfin knows a lot of people like you want to own, but are stuck in this browsing mode loop. That's where Redfin flips the script. With listings that update within minutes and tours you can book right from the Redfin app, you can see your dream home the moment it appears. Now, liking a listing is easy, but actually landing it, that's where Redfin comes in. Redfin has over 2,200 agents with local expertise. And Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. That means they want to help you win, not just window shop. Redfin is built to help you go from just looking to wait, this could actually be home. So become the newest neighbor on the block. Visit redfin.com to start finding and start owning. That's redfin.com.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay is the only designer sofa that's machine washable inside and out, starting at just $699. Plus, Anabay sofas are pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and feature changeable slip covers and modular pieces. Get up to 60% off site-wide with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit washablesofas.com to get yours now. That's washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
The new Chicken Bacon Ranch Street Chalupas at Taco Bell. You can't get just one. Okay, so that's not like some marketing hyperbole. You literally can't get just one. They come in twos. So like, if you want just one, you're going to need to find a friend who loves slow-roasted chicken, bacon, and avocado ranch sauce. Or a friend of a friend, or have an awkward conversation with a complete stranger to see if they're obsessed with chicken, bacon, and avocado ranch. Or you could just like eat them both because you're obsessed with slow-roasted chicken, bacon. Okay, you get the idea. The new Chicken Bacon Ranch Street Chalupas at Taco Bell. At participating Taco Bell U.S. locations for a limited time while supplies last.
And we're back. So it's almost certainly through Williget's influence that Heinrich Himmler came to an important realization about himself. Not only did he have royal blood, just like von Liszt and von Liebenfels and Williget and every German folklore New Age weirdo we've discussed. Right? It's not surprising that Himmler's like, yeah.
I just don't know, well, who was in your kingdoms?
Right.
If all of you were kings. Like, was there any subjects?
Nope. No, subjects don't get reincarnated, just the cool people.
Oh, got it.
So, and Himmler's kind of come late to this, right? Because he doesn't have that much faith in himself. It's not until the SS is top shit and nobody can question him directly anymore that he starts feeling comfortable being like, and he's talking with Williget, and Williget's like, yeah, here's how I found out that the blood of the Ice Kings is in my vein. And Heinrich's just being like, well, actually, I think maybe I got the blood of some kings and stuff in my veins too. Actually, in fact, you know what? Like, I was doing some channeling, and like I had a vision, and I think I'm actually the reincarnation of Heinrich the First, King of the Germans. Like, oh, that's definitely actually who I was. We're both named Heinrich for one thing, so like, I mean, there's that, right? And
I'm picturing you stuck at like the company party over by like next to the bar by the like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? And this guy's talking to you and you're just trying to eye one of your buddies like, I don't want to piss him off, but please someone come rescue me. Like we should have made a code. Someone come get me.
Yeah. And it's so funny. Like because you've got this, it's kind of like if you've ever been to like a work party and suddenly you realize like, oh my God, my boss or this guy who's like above me in the company hierarchy is really drunk and he's saying some shit he shouldn't be saying. Like, oh, I just learned that like our senior vice president thinks that 9/11 was an inside job.
Yes.
I'm not saying that happened to me. I'm just saying like it would be like if that happened.
No, that
like
is
you're hanging out with like, oh shit, I'm getting FaceTime with Heinrich Himmler. Like this is going to be great for my career in the, wait, you're the reincarn what?
Yeah, that has
you're
happened
a king,
to me.
you say.
That has happened to me where I was just like, oh, you're a dumbass. Like it is a weird
you're out of your
feeling.
mind.
Yeah, like, wait, what? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, totally.
So Heinrich I was a real king. He was born in 876 AD. He had been crowned the first king of the Germans around 916 AD and then died in 936, which is not a bad run for a dude in that period of time. As far as I can tell, Himmler's main justification for why he was the reincarnation of this guy was, number one, they're both named Heinrich, and number two, King Heinrich was way more impressive than Heinrich Himmler, right? So obviously, that guy must be me, you know?
I'm named after my grandpa.
And we don't, again, I brought this up a little bit earlier. We don't actually know when he starts believing he's Heinrich I. There's outside evidence. We get other people talking about this, I think at 36 for the first time. I suspect not long after he and Williget meet in like 33 is when he starts. I don't think it takes long for that belief to get inculcated, but maybe I think he's kind of, it starts with just this inner circle of the other occult weirdos at the SS, and it's gradually that he's willing to tell more people, because you do get the sense, we'll talk about this more in later episodes, but that he is kind of embarrassed about this a little bit sometimes. Yeah. Like he doesn't want to talk, he doesn't want to sit down necessarily and explain to Hitler everything he believes about this being reincarnated. But the SS is his safe space. Nobody can question him there. Now, the primary impact that accepting this about himself, this belief has on Himmler, is that it gives him an excuse to go absolutely hog wild with all the new money and power that had started flowing towards the SS in the early years of the regime. He and Williget went on regular trips to significant magical sites around Germany, and during one visit in late 1933, Williget showed him Wewelsburg Castle. Wewel's Berg. And this is I think the primary castle Wolfenstein is based on, right? Wolfenstein is obviously this one it sounds most like, but Wewelsburg is the evil Nazi occult castle, right?
Dude, so like the more I'm thinking about this, like as a parent and also as a teacher and like a former teacher and a rapper, like in hip hop with your kids or while watching other kids, it's almost like you can see the made up story become true to that kid. You know what I mean? Whether it's like my children, like I said, them playing around and they're telling some sort of story. Like I'm watching my daughter tell a story to her friends and we're like, that ain't happened. You know, but it's cute. And then 6 months later, she's telling it to us like, you remember when? And we're like, baby, you made that up, you know? But at this point, the cement has settled. You see it all the time with like gangster rappers where like you just start telling this story about yourself and you're like, sir, this is not your life.
No, you're simply like invented this. I've had this experience like hanging out with friends who were in the military and other buddies of theirs and hearing different versions of the same story that can't all, like someone has to have some details wrong and they were all there. And I think a lot of the times it's the result, some of it's just people make mistakes or see something that they think they don't, but some of it's you start telling yourself something in the immediate wake of a traumatic event that's not quite the truth because it's easier to accept than the truth. Yeah. And you tell it often enough that it becomes real, it becomes load-bearing to your psyche, right? Yes. And, you know, Himmler, at some point, like, that's certainly part of this, right? Is like, because especially as the war starts to go worse and worse, this, like, belief that in this, the mystical nature of things, that I am that there's destiny, right? I am destined for great things. So even though the situation seems bad now, we're going to figure something out, right? Yeah. Because I'm special. I'm the special boy of history.
I'm the special boy.
So they find this castle. Himmler falls in love with it. Now, Wewelsburg Castle had been created in the 1600s, and it was like less of a real castle that like knightly, because this is after kind of the medieval period. it's more of like a rich guy house castle than like a fortress castle, right?
Yeah.
But there had at one point, earlier in history, there had been other castles there. Possibly a castle of Heinrich I was kind of in the same area. It was also close to where some people thought the Battle of Teutoburg Wald might have been fought in 980, right?
Okay.
That battle between the Romans and the... So this is all pretty thin stuff. I don't know that it's exactly where all that happened, but that was enough where Himmler was like, oh, like the guy I'm reincarnated from, his castle was here. This is where we fought this great battle against the empire of our day and won. You know, this is obviously a site of magical importance. There's so many ley lines crossing through. Like, this is a place of power. And so he leases the castle from the local government for 100 years at the rate of 1 mark per year. Wow. And this is going to become the SS's spiritual headquarters. Now, Wewelsburg is in terrible shape. It's not livable, but Himmler ultimately spends more than 11 million marks in the first year alone renovating it. And they put in rooms, like Himmler has a room there. All of the high-ranking SS guys have their own suites. And they put in, like, this is basically built as like a gathering, like almost a community center for the SS. So you've got places you can hold conferences. You've got like rooms where you can give speeches and whatnot.
Fellowship hall. Yeah, I got you.
Exactly. Okay. You can have parties and you can do rituals there. Now, obviously, he can't spend the SS budget on this because this is an extracurricular activity, and he doesn't want to deal with like the chance of getting in trouble, you know, with the Führer over this by spending state money. So he creates a nonprofit called the Society for the Advancement and Maintenance of German Artifacts. Now, I have to go back a little bit and say that Himmler has collected a group of rich men around him who are willing to fund projects like this, and this happens because after the Nazi seizure of power, Hitler makes an industrialist named Wilhelm Kepler his economic advisor. And Kepler is one of these rich guys who was not super gung-ho about the Nazi party necessarily, but was super gung-ho about their ability to defeat the left and be really good for rich guys like him, right?
Yeah.
And Kepler, this position that Hitler gives him, it's kind of a sop to the plutocratic class, but it doesn't give him direct power. And Kepler, he really cares about the economy, but not much else. And he's one of these guys who, you have a lot of these guys around Trump now who are I don't really like necessarily all the economic stuff you're trying to do. Can you just stick to fucking up the people who want to tax me more and not destroy the economy? Because your ideas on that are bad, right?
Yeah, it's all I'm here for, dude. Yeah.
Right. And so Kepler looks for ways to influence Nazi economic policy subtly from within using money, right? Who do we need to bribe to stop them from doing the crazy shit that'll be bad for the economy, or at least bad for my part of the economy?
Yes.
In March of 1933, he convinces Himmler to let him into the SS, right? And I don't know if his actual racial background was perfectly clean or if it's just, you know, enough money makes you Aryan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But he gets into the SS, and he gradually is able to get a coterie of his fellow rich guy friends to join the SS, and they form an official group within the SS called the Friends of the Reichsführer, right? The Friends of Heinrich Himmler, basically. Now, this is a formal group. They have monthly meetings. Himmler oversees the meetings personally. He picks who gets to be a member, and about once a month they meet, and sometimes he'll give a lecture about how policing in Germany is changing. Sometimes he'll give a lecture about the ancient Armanen warrior priests and their runic alphabet, right? Sometimes he'll talk about reincarnation, you know? Whatever kind of shit he's interested in that week. Sometimes he'll talk about, like breeding the master race, you know?
His podcast.
It's his podcast that's just for him and his 36 richest friends, right?
He finally landed it. We finally got there.
These guys, I don't think mostly believe this, and I don't think most of them care. This is the FaceTime I got to put in with Himmler, and he's someone who can make things happen for me.
I mean, he's the boss and he owns the spot. So, you kind of got to be there.
He owns the spot. He's got influence, you know. And so this group by the late 30s is about 36 guys, the Friends of Heinrich Himmler, and they represent all the major moneyed interests in Germany, right? Like every big company and major banking cartel has a guy in there. In 1936, Himmler first asks the Friends to donate money to the SS for cultural and social purposes. And they'll basically carve out their era's equivalent of like a 501c or whatever. And it's better to compare this to like a super PACs, right?
Okay.
Where they're creating PACs and putting the money in, and then the SS can use that for whatever thing they want, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's not technically their money and it's not coming out of their budget, right? Because this is a donation. And this is how Himmler pays to remodel Wewelsburg Castle. And it's how most of the SS shenanigans, they're sending expeditions all around the world in the late 30s. They sent an expedition to Tibet. All this stuff is funded by the friends of Heinrich Himmler.
Okay, because that was going to be my next question. Because the dollar, the leasing it for $1 a year, I'm like, no notes, bro, brilliant.
Smart, good call.
Yeah, and then I was like, and the 11 million is an investment that makes sense. But I was like, where you get that money from? But like that was going to be my question.
How'd that happen? Right? Yeah, and this is where the money comes from.
Yeah.
So Himmler's got no interest. This is like the charity they create is like for the maintenance of German artifacts. Himmler's not interested in maintaining real artifacts. And in fact, he has destroyed the historic value of the castle by now because he has rebuilt the interior as a pagan temple to Wotan, right? To
I was
these
like,
gods.
you don't care about the history, bro. Yeah. Like, you just bought the castle.
Because the history is an invention of his friends, right?
Yeah, I was like, first of all, you don't believe history. You make up history.
No, you're making all of this up.
Yeah.
So he has the castle rebuilt into a pagan temple to the gods von List and Liebenfels and Wielegut had basically invented. The core of the property was a vast dining hall that would act as an evil version of King Arthur's Round Table. And I want to quote from Bill Yen's book. Each of the chosen knights would have his own high-back, pig-leather chair with his name engraved on a silver plate. Here at this table, the SS officers would sit and meditate in a trance-like state. The overall theme of the interior decorators naturally revolved around pagan symbolism, the swastika, the SS lightning bolts, and the runes of the Armanen Futhark, which is like the runic alphabet, right?
Oh, my God. This reminds me of like, okay, obviously I'm extremely married, so I'm out the game, but like, I do remember times where there was like, if you're single enough and someone is hot enough to where you're willing to put up with their weird hippy dippy shit, you know what I'm saying? Where you're just like, I don't know, this fool is super smoking hot, but whenever I go see them, I gotta like drink rose water and charge my crystals with candles. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just like, and so now, so I'm thinking like, I really want to be in this club, but I got to go pretend to meditate with these, like, you just have to go. But I'm like, I don't know, dude, this fool's, they pretty hot though. Like, I got to.
They're pretty. Yeah, you got to do some. They might want some of your blood for a ritual. I don't know, but like, I mean, look at them.
Look at them. It's pretty hot, and I tell you what,
I'll believe whatever. Yeah,
I'll believe whatever, and I tell you what, man.
To be 20 again. I did a lot of weird religious shit in my early 20s. You know a lot of weird religions.
I have gone to many hypostatic dances. Because
I'll summon a demon with you. Fuck
you know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. She fine as hell. Like, that's just what she into. I don't know.
Yeah. Who's to say what's true? Certainly not me.
You will justify a lot.
Right. And that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
So Wewelsburg is also, it's the center of the spiritual chunk of the SS, and it's the center of Heinrich Himmler's growing obsession with replacing Christianity, particularly with replacing Catholicism with a faith friendlier to the Third Reich's ambitions. Within the SS, he began substituting Christmas with a solstice Yuletide celebration. So again, you're basically banned from celebrating Christmas in the SS. If you're doing it now, do people still celebrate Christmas? Sure. They're not like recording everyone at all times, but you're not supposed to. And for an example, for an idea of what was expected in the SS, I found a translation of a 1939 guide for people in the SS titled The SS Family by General Fritz Weitzel. In it, he describes the origins of the Yuletide as something separate from Christianity and explains that originally people celebrated the Yuletide because, like, the whole death and resurrection thing from Christianity, they stole it from this ancient belief that, like, it was about the sun, right? The sun stops coming out as much during the shortest, coldest days, and the Yuletide is when that starts to switch and the days start to get longer again. The sun is coming. In other words, that's the reincarnation, right? Quote, the sun's path got shorter, and during Yule time there would be only a few hours of daylight, and then it would sink into the cold North Sea and was gobbled up as if eaten by a monster on midwinter day. It was dead and lay in its grave. The question whether the sun would stay buried was of equal importance to the question whether mankind would live or die. On midwinter day the miracle happened. The sun rose from its watery grave. It was born like a child, gathered strength, and appeared in front of the celebrating and joyous folk, who felt that life was given back to them. This happened every year, and every year they celebrated this as their most important festival, their sacred and holy night festival.
Man. And what's crazy is like the modern Christian would agree that like, yeah, the Yuletide is evil, like Santa Claus, it's Satan. It's not supposed to be a part of Christmas. So you're right. You gotta, it's not Christian. Dude, that's crazy that like, that, and then these fools would be like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, it's not.
It's not. And you stole it from us, right?
You stole it from us. You know what I'm saying? What a crazy, weird, like, agreement. We're like, yeah, no, totally, 100%.
Yeah.
Y'all shouldn't be doing this, you know?
There's some like real shit mixed up in there. Like, for example, the timing of Christmas celebration is related to the fact that there was a celebration called the Saturnalia in Rome during a similar time. And like, well, if you're trying to figure out when to hold this thing, it's easier as you transition people from one religion to the other to like have, and this is just always all throughout the world. Cultures do shit around this time of year. It's just like,
there's just like, you know, and if you're the like the empire, you're just like, well, I don't care about none of y'all's faiths.
Yeah.
Look, why don't y'all all just do it on Tuesday?
Like,
let's just do it all on Tuesday.
We're already doing something at this point of the year. Yeah, fuck it. This is when we'll do.
You go home. You do whatever you go home. You do it. We're just gonna do it on Tuesday. Y'all want a day off work? Okay, let's do that. Right.
And so what the SS is trying to do is trying to be like, first off, here's the real origins of like what Christianity, right? It didn't start, it really started as like this thing, and this is the actual real origin of it. And it's interesting, this book, there's no direct mention of Christianity at all. Which on its own, there's nothing wrong with the idea of like, here's what we're doing, and it's a different kind of celebration at this time of the year.
Yeah.
But the goal here for the Nazis is to replace, they're not trying to replace Christianity because they have issues with the religion. They are trying to make Nazism the new religion. And they are trying to replace a belief in a God with a belief in the perfectibility of German people through eugenics. The Aryan race, that we are trying to return by selective breeding, trying to breed the Nordic race back into Aryans. That's God.
See, that's the actual war on Christmas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So this, you know, at some point we was probably going to do a tap in about James Dobson dying. And who ruined many a Christmas
yes,
for plenty of people. So you know what I'm saying? You got to focus on the funeral with that dog. But like, it's just so interesting to think that like, you know, I know this ain't the point of what you're saying, but like this belief that you locked into this existential war with the culture that like that James Dobson was really big on is like, well, there was a war, my friend, but it's not the one that you locked into. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You missing the point. You actually scoring points for these folks. And I'm like, luckily for us in our house, like the benefit for us not really falling for the James Dobson juju was that he was freakishly racist. So it became kind of obvious that like, oh, you're not talking to us. Okay. So, but anyway, it's the specificity of them being like, it's almost like when the conspiracy theorist is sometimes right.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like the CIA, where they're like, the CIA put crack in the inner cities. Okay.
Well, they
kind
of
did. And also, the
CIA,
has a mind control laser.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, man.
But yeah,
I feel like they'd have been better at shit if they had the mind control laser, bro.
One would
I don't
think.
know.
And I'm like, no, really. There is someone trying to replace your religion. It's just the Nazis. Like
it's like whenever people are like, there is a small group of powerful, wealthy people who largely control politics. No, not that group.
No.
Not that group. They're actually like a bunch of different religions.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't even believe in anything. No, all sorts of races. You know
exactly.
So anyway, there's no mention of Christianity in this booklet at all, but there is, you can see very clearly and almost stated directly that their desire is to replace Christianity and the God of the Christian faith with the Aryan race. The guide has detailed instructions for setting up, instead of a Christmas tree, an SS tree. And I know you're
no.
wondering what that looks like. And the answer is it looks like shit. Like, basically, it's a circular wreath sideways hanging from a pole.
So ugly.
So it's not even like a tree.
It looks like it's
not
dying.
a tree.
Come on, man. It
looks like shit.
It looks like it's dying.
It looks like Charlie Brown's whack-ass Christmas tree. Look at this fucking terrible tree.
Don't insult.
Fucking SS.
Charlie Brown's looks better.
Charlie Brown was definitely better at Christmas than the SS. Yeah.
Imagine waking up Christmas morning. You wake up Christmas morning and see this shit.
See this fucking disc? This green disc on a stick? The fuck is wrong with you, Mom and Dad?
Mom, what the hell is this?
Looks like a paper towel holder.
Yeah, you see that shit in your fucking living room on Christmas Day, and you know you're not getting an N64, right? You're going to still be playing GoldenEye at your friend's house.
100.
No, you're getting socks, bro. You are getting socks.
Yeah, you're getting socks. You're simply getting socks.
Yeah.
So the book notes that a good SS housewife is expected to bake 3 different kinds of cakes for Yuletide celebrations, and warns, quote, a good SS housewife should pride herself on keeping to the old recipes and shapes, and rejecting all cheap and American factory-produced goods.
Oh, Lord. Nothing changes.
Now, I know what you're all asking at this point, which is, what was the SS explanation for Santa, and how did they replace him, right? Is this a thing where they're like, the Santa's obviously this decadent capitalist bullshit? No. The SS embraces Santa. They just, again, say that the Jews who are secretly in charge of Christianity stole Santa Claus from the Nordic people, right? Here's another quote from that book. The old feast of Wotan is on Yule 16th. In olden days, the god of our ancestors drove through the air, visited his people, was friendly to them, and left them little presents. He wanted to announce the start of the winter solstice season and the coming of the new year. The Christian church couldn't suppress these yearly visits of this white-bearded, one-eyed leader of the good spirits, so they put one of its assumed saints, Saint Nicholas, in his place. Yes. But in many areas of Germany, the rider on a white horse, also known as Ruprecht, the one shining with glory, Wotan, or simply Father Yuletide, remained. SS families should gather together and make the visit of Father Yuletide a memorable event for their children. So, no. Wotan actually is the original Santa. God would just visit his people and give them presents, and the Christians stole that and replaced it with Saint Nicholas. But no, it's Wotan, and he'll come and give your kids candy, nuts and stuff.
Yeah, man. And then the Christians are like, no, Santa evil too.
Santa's evil. I think I don't think that's super. I don't know enough about Lutheranism in this period of time, but I don't think they're anti-Santa.
No, Lutheranism, they was with it because of the saints, but they was kind of like, Lutherans are like basically just like Catholics without the Pope. Like at this point, they were really just trying to reform the Catholics. They wasn't trying to actually leave. Yeah. But anyway.
And so, this is Himmler, this is kind of the first direct reference to Christianity that you find in this, is like the Christian church stole Santa from the Wotanists.
Oh, man, that's so funny.
Now, SS men who came from Christian backgrounds, which was basically all of them, weren't required to renounce their faith, but they were made to pledge allegiance to Hitler, and specifically they had to pledge to put this allegiance to Hitler above any allegiance they had to the Catholic Church or any other church. So they do have to say, I am in this for Hitler before the Pope, right? They have to, if they are Catholic, they have to promise that, right?
Okay.
So this is not just a Nazi thing. As I try to emphasize, the German authoritarians being uncomfortable with the Catholic Church goes back as far as Otto von Bismarck. When Germany becomes a thing, Bismarck's first real concern is, but this Catholic Church is a second center of power, right? So what we see with the Nazis and Himmler's war against Catholicism in particular and Christianity in general is an extension of what authoritarian Germans have been doing since the birth of Germany. And that is important to note, right? This doesn't come out of nowhere. And so even though the occult stuff and the pagan stuff is weird and not popular with the broader Nazi party, the fact that there are people high up in the party who are worried and see Christianity as a threat is not new and doesn't feel super out of place, right? It feels consistent with, the way in which the powers in Germany have what they've seen as threats since the era of Bismarck, right? In his book on the Nazi occult, Bill Yen describes the act of joining the SS as, quote, an act of religious conversion. And as I've said, Yen's book, while it's useful and it has a lot of good details, he has book blinders. This is the same problem the guy who wrote Blitz has, right? Where there's a lot of good stuff in there about Hitler's drug use and about drug use in the Third Reich, but also the fact that he is focused on that makes him center drug use and its impact on the decision-making of people in the Reich more than I think most historians believe is accurate, right? Because this is the thing he's obsessed with. And Yin centers the occult shit more than is reasonable, even within the SS, right? And this is not everyone who joins the SS is not converting their religion, and they're not being made to. It depends in part on who you are. If you're some kid coming in from the middle class who's, doesn't have much behind them and who Himmler is like, oh, this guy got in trouble for this or for that, so I can make him my own. Yeah, he's probably going to really expect to see you buying into this stuff.
Yeah.
If you're the rich and powerful industrialist who joined the SS as a way to bribe Himmler, he's not going to be a super big cop about whether or not you're going to fucking church still or whether or not you have an SS tree. You're paying him, right? He's fine with it, right? But it wouldn't be wrong to say that Himmler envisioned the SS as an organization that members joining considered an act of religious conversion, that this was his goal for the SS, ultimately. He just, at no point is it really that, right? Now, it is treated as a religion by the actual text of SS publications. That 1939 SS guide that I've been quoting from describes the Death's Head Ring Citation, which is Himmler creates this award, I think in 1939. It becomes the highest award in the SS. Only Himmler can give it out.
Okay.
And the Death's Head, this is a symbol that goes back in German military quite a while. There had been these units, these elite mounted units that had worn the Death's Head, right?
Okay.
And there's going to be a branch of the SS, the Totenkopf, the Death's Head Division, which is the guys who run the death camps, right? Those are the dudes. When you see, not every SS guy had the Death's Head, right? Like that was not everyone in the organization. That's a specific chunk of the organization. And there's a Death's Head ring that it's like the Medal of Honor within the SS, right?
Okay.
So if Himmler really likes you, or if you do something that he is super into,
he thinks
he'll add you to this, right? And you get this ring that's embedded with Liszt's Armen and runes, which Himmler describes as holy symbols of our past. SS General Weitzel notes, the ring is a symbol of the new SS religion. Upon the death of the wearer, the ring is kept at Himmler's Wewelsburg Castle. And that was, as Sophie will show you the ring, the idea was we're making these into sacred relics. These are like holy relics from our knightly order. And everyone who dies with one, the ring comes back to the castle. And I think presumably maybe it'd get reissued. And so you build he's thinking of in 1,000-year terms. After centuries, these will be holy relics. We're like, I've got this ring and I know everyone before me who had it, right?
Yeah. So you take it off the dude's finger, or they believe it floats back into the.
Oh no, they take it. They take it back to the castle.
I'm like, look, it's very possible.
I like your version.
They're not quite that woo. They're not quite that woo.
I was like, it's possible,
it.
bro.
Yeah. Now, in 1935, the SS magazine Das Schwarzkorps, or the Black Corps, started publication. Circulation would eventually reach as many as 750,000 issues a week sold, a feat that's made easier by the fact that buying it, subscribing is mandatory if you're in the SS, right?
Great.
So, a little hard to say how many people are reading this, but it's technically mandatory, so you have to think people who are lower are keeping up with it, right? Because in part, that's maybe how you get ahead, is paying attention to what the boss is into.
Yeah.
Figure out how am I going to make myself noticed, right?
Yeah.
And Himmler used his in-house magazine for political ends. There's some practical point of this, right? Mm-hmm. He's got this SD, the security agency, and sometimes they'll find dirt on another German in power, another member of the party or a member of the government or a local leader. And it won't be enough to prosecute someone over, but if the SD leaks that dirt, it could be published in the Black Corps, and then you can kind of get people forced out of their jobs or whatever, or otherwise punish people who are slowing down the SS's work.
Yeah.
So that's the practical use that having this magazine does, right? Mm-hmm. But the Black Corps is also where Himmler would try to push new occult practices and popularize them among the SS rank and file. In the case of more substantial changes, it's where he would first make his arguments for how things ought to be, because this is a sympathetic and a captive audience.
Okay.
And there's no single religious and moral issue that vexes Himmler more during this period, the late 30s, than his own what becomes a personal war on marriage, the Judeo-Christian concept of marriage he takes on as an enemy. The first battle in this war is launched. Oh, yeah. He is very anti-marriage in its traditional sense. And he launches, he's not anti-marriage, but he's anti-marriage as a Christian thing, right?
Word. You just trying to de-Christianize everything. Okay.
Right, exactly.
I'm following now.
Yes.
Okay, word.
So this starts in 1931. He restricts SS men from being married in Christian churches. Now, Yin describes this as an outright ban. I don't see a straight up, this is forbidden, but it's basically all of the literature is like, here is how a wedding is done, and it doesn't involve the church. And the SS after 31 has to approve every new wedding, right?
Okay.
So if you're trying to get married in a church, they're not going to say yes. Unless because I don't think this was a perfect 100% across the board thing. In part, guys who are of the nobility, guys who are rich, you have some options for getting around some of these rules, right? But in terms of what the normal rank and file are supposed to do, in that 1939 handbook, General Weitzel acknowledged that a lot of women were having trouble with the idea of getting married without a church, that like, at this point, they've been doing it for 8 years when he writes this guidebook in 39, but like he acknowledges this has been a problem. Quote, even to this day, it seems impossible for many people to imagine these celebrations without the church and its servants, especially the women folk who were held captive by the trappings of wedding veil and incense, organ music and dark churches, and thought they could not do without such rituals.
They want
the
their
party and its
Cinderella.
organizations. Yeah,
Oh, they want to be a
Cinderella
princess.
moment.
Yes. Wow.
The party and its organizations are trying to advocate the thought of celebrating these festive occasions in accordance with our ideologies. But it repeatedly was observed that the ceremonies of the church were copied, with officials doing the important actions, and that the celebrations were used for propaganda purposes outside the family, right? So what we noticed is when we first did this, everyone was just copying what the churches did, but with SS guys, and that's not right, because that's still too close to the, like, we're really trying to get away from the Christian idea of marriage. Yeah.
Guys, it's too Christian.
Yeah.
So funny.
We'll get into what they do next and how they de-Christianize marriage. But you know who else has declared war on the concept of marriage?
Oh, man. Every last one of them ads.
Yes. Yeah. All of our sponsors and Sophie.
And poor Sophie.
Sophie's leading them in a crusade against the concept of marriage.
It's low-key barbaric.
Yeah.
Let's talk about modern home shopping. It's sort of become a fun side hobby, right? Scrolling listings at night, dreaming about kitchens you've never seen, or backyards you haven't even stepped foot in, all from the comfort of pretty much anywhere. Redfin knows a lot of people like you want to own, but are stuck in this browsing mode loop. That's where Redfin flips the script. With listings that update within minutes and tours you can book right from the Redfin app, you can see your dream home the moment it appears. Now, liking a listing is easy, but actually landing it, that's where Redfin comes in. Redfin has over 2,200 agents with local expertise. And Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. That means they want to help you win, not just window shop. Redfin is built to help you go from just looking to wait, this could actually be home. So become the newest neighbor on the block. Visit redfin.com to start finding and start owning. That's redfin.com.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Time for a sofa upgrade? Introducing Anabe Sofas, where designer style meets budget-friendly prices. Anabe brings you the ultimate in furniture innovation with a modular design that allows you to rearrange your space effortlessly. Perfect for both small and large spaces, Anabe is the only machine-washable sofa inside and out. Say goodbye to stains and messes with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics that make cleaning easy. Liquid simply slide right off. Designed for custom comfort, our high-resilience foam lets you choose between a sink-in feel or a supportive memory foam blend. Plus, our pet-friendly, stain-resistant fabrics ensure your sofa stays beautiful for years. Don't compromise quality for price. Visit WashableSofas.com to upgrade your living space today. Sofas start at just $699 with no risk returns and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get up to 60% off plus free shipping and free returns. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
Flag football is exploding, and iFlag is leading the way. As the Guinness World Record holder, iFlag hosts premier flag football tournaments nationwide for boys, girls, high school girls, and adults. From first-time players to elite competitors, iFlag delivers top-level competition, unforgettable experiences, and a community built around the game. Ready to be part of it? Join the movement. Find your tournament and learn more at iflag.org. That's iflag.org.
And we're back.
I find such irony in the modern Nazi using so much Christian iconography.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
all I could think about was like, oh, so y'all ain't read, you didn't do the homework.
Well, it's very American.
Very true.
Nazism in the United States, our equivalent was always going to be wrapped in a certain version of the faith.
Yeah.
But it's also, as you'll notice, not Christianity in the traditional sense.
Yeah, it's
like,
not
to
Christian.
The point where, like,
really,
there's been those articles about like a lot of like in the South, you have like preachers who will be like reading literally Jesus's direct quotes, and people will be like, well, that's woke bullshit, right? Like,
currently.
that can't be what he meant,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, currently.
It's the same way Jesus was pretty clear about certain stuff like rich people, right?
Yeah,
the whole camel through the eye, and then there's this whole like, no. The needle was like a gate. The eye of the needle was like a gate, and it was only big enough for like a guy in a camel to get through.
Yeah, it was
so,
just
like,
called
actually,
the needle. Yeah.
It's not hard to like it wasn't saying you can't. I can still go to heaven even though like I'm hoarding all of this money that people could really use.
I've been hoarding all these resources from everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
I still get to go to heaven. Don't worry.
Yeah.
People always do this with religion. It doesn't matter what religion it is. It's just they do that with politics. Do people just it's always really attractive and very easy to just be like, you know what? I already want these things. Like my impulses and desires have guided me to wanting this. That's probably what God or the universe wants, or that's probably consistent with my politics. That's effectively religion to me, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is what Marx meant. This is, et cetera.
Yeah.
People can justify whatever bullshit they want with whatever text they want.
Yeah.
And do all the time.
Yeah,
it's
you
very
dropping
easy
gems
for us.
Yeah, that's gems right there. That's really what we're witnessing. Yup.
Yeah. Anyway, so one of the first changes Himmler pushes through to change how marriage works is he introduces something called a Sippenbuch, right? And so every SS family has to have a Sippenbuch, which is like a passport for getting married, and it lists your whole genealogy and your wife's genealogy. And the idea is your kids will, and you'll keep a track of this book listing
Just
your
in
whole,
case.
like the history of your different families and your marriages, so you can keep track of like, are we moving closer to this to breeding idealized Aryans here? Are we improving the quality of our blood? Right?
Yeah, none of that gene pool diversity. We need to keep. We need to keep all of our anomalies and deficiencies in our genes. We need to double
exactly.
them. Yeah, got it.
Now, and Bill Yen notes, and I think this is a good observation, that the Sippenbuch is, quote, not unlike the sort of stud book that owners keep for racehorses. And I think this probably is the direct inspiration, because Himmler, in his writings, and Hitler as well, compared human breeding to livestock. We gave some of those quotes in the first episodes where Himmler talks about like, yeah, you don't want like the oldest, you want like, you don't want an old cow, basically, right? Like, they were already comparing stuff to livestock breeding.
Yeah.
So the idea that they look at how people breed horses and go, well, obviously the SS should work this way, I think makes sense. That the Sippenbuch is inspired by stud books.
Yeah.
I don't think that's much of a leap. Yen goes on to note, quote, at one point under the Sippenbuch rules, a non-SS man who'd had a Jewish ancestor in 1711 was forbidden to marry the daughter of an SS officer. So that's how strict this shit is.
Wow.
By 1939, the SS was nearing 250,000 men, as well as many thousands of women who weren't actual members, but they're formally affiliated with the SS as SS wives. There's an organization for SS wives. So, this is a size. It's like, again, it's becoming a state within a state.
Yeah.
Now, Himmler's anti-Christian crusade had been effective within the SS, but not on the scale that he'd hoped, because most members of the SS throughout the period it exists are still Christian, right? Mm-hmm. About 54% of SS personnel attended Protestant churches while enrolled in the SS, and another almost 24% were Catholic. Mm-hmm. Only about 22% at most would have been full-throated believers in the Arminist Volkish mystic stuff. And of that number, I mean, that's obviously a lot higher than the background level, but also not all of those non-believers are full on into the weird, which some of them are just like atheists, right? They just don't care, right? They maybe they care about the race stuff, but they don't believe in Wotan, right?
Yeah.
So you can see Himmler's had an impact, but he has not, this is not a massive, wild difference from the general population, right? And so he still has to be careful and intentional when he wants to push a big change. And one of the biggest changes he wants to push that he just doesn't feel like even the SS is ready for is getting everyone to accept that the racial elite need to embrace polygamy. Right?
Here it comes. The Wotan clan, boy, is entering the 36 chambers now, y'all. You know what I'm saying? All right.
So the Nazis had always been pro-natalist, right? And this is come into vogue in the U.S. now. Elon's a big advocate of pro-natalism. It's the idea that certain people need to have lots of kids, right? And when we're trying not to be white supremacists, it's just like, oh no, just smart people need to have kids. Smart people, like families with money, who got rich in the tech industry, they need to have a shitload of kids, because obviously their inherent characteristics got them rich, not the fact that they were lucky and were born rich or whatever. And so this pro-natalist policy, this has always been a thing that the Nazis loved. Hitler is big into this aspect of it, increasing birth rates. And his regime immediately introduces marriage loans and a bunch of financial incentives for procreating. And Nazi propaganda, including SS propaganda, publishes loving quotes from SS wives about how, like, giving birth is my contribution to the race war. It's how I fight, the husband is responsible for the spiritual health of the family, but the woman like sets the emotional mood or whatever in the family, and like all this kind of stuff.
The chief executive officer of the home. Wonder where we heard that before. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that's always how these people think.
Yeah.
Now, as the 30s come to an end and Germany starts gearing up for war with Poland and starts its war with Poland, right? There's, we brush over the war in Poland, the German and Soviet invasion as and they just crushed and steamrolled Poland, because they do go through very quickly. There's never a real contest, but they suffer significant casualties taking Poland. Like, it's not an insignificant number of guys who die, and a lot of SS guys are dying.
Yeah.
And Himmler starts to worry, did we get something wrong? Because not all these young men had time to get married and have kids before they went and died at the front, which means that like they're potentially ending this part of this precious Nordic bloodline, right? And even if they have a kid, they're young because they're soldiers, so they probably haven't had time to have more than one, maybe two, right? That's not enough. We want bigger families than that. But women, as part of one of the many flaws of their, of the way things work with women, they can only have one kid at a time, right?
Yeah. They eggs got an expiration date on them eggs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They can only have kids for so long and only have one at a time. Really? If you're thinking about this from the perspective of what matters is the race, the Aryan race, our God is this race that we are trying to bring back through selective breeding into existence, and that's all that matters. It's illogical and maybe even evil to have young Nordic men be monogamous, right? Maybe the only real consistent ethical thing to do, if you believe this, is have men having kids with a lot of women.
Babe.
Right?
Babe, it's for the culture.
It's for the culture.
I'm doing it for the culture. I don't want to
do it, right?
But like, please invite your friend Sally over. I don't want to do it.
I don't want to have 6 other wives that I have a bunch of kids with.
I don't want to do it.
I'm only doing it because it's necessary for the race,
it's
right?
For
you
the
believe
culture.
all this race stuff, right? You know?
And you can watch.
You can watch.
Y'all can even, if y'all want to, before.
You got to raise these kids.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have time to raise these kids.
I got to go to war. You want me to go to war and die?
Yeah.
Or
I got to go die in the East after having 6 kids with 6 different women. Yeah. Exactly.
Men used to go to war.
Yeah. Yeah, at least you're getting rid of them, right?
Yeah, right.
So one of the people who was close to Himmler and would write about him after the war was his masseuse, Felix Kersten. And there's a lot of claims Kersten makes about Himmler and about what he did during the war. He writes a book about being Himmler's masseuse, and he gives a lot of quotes about things Himmler is supposedly said to him, right?
Yeah.
Now, Kersten is not a good source because he gets initially credited. He gets like awards for having saved the Dutch Jewish population from forced deportation. Because he basically claims like, well, Himmler was like really tired and sick when that was happening. And I was so influential to him that I was able to like manipulate him into saving all these people. And like Kersten made claims that he basically did that a lot, that he saved a lot of people. And I don't know that it's possible he did save some people. I'm not enough of an expert on him to categorically bust all of his myths, but this claim that he saved the Dutch Jewish population is bullshit. He falsifies documents to make this argument, right?
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing he's believed for a long time. There's a lot of people, like that first biography of Himmler that I looked into a bit takes what Kersten says as gospel. Bill Yen trusts Kersten a lot more than he should.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues with taking Kersten too literally, right?
But okay, so let's just say, okay, so he saved the Jewish population of what now?
Of the Dutch Jewish population.
Okay, the Dutch
right?
Jews. Okay, to what end?
Well, because he was really a good guy. He never bought into this Nazi stuff. He was just trying. He was Himmler's masseuse, but he was always trying to save people, right? He just
okay.
By getting close to Himmler, I'm able to exercise influence to protect people.
Word.
This is him largely protecting himself after the war. I think he's lying about a lot of this. It's not clear is he lying about all of it. And that's part of the problem is that he is Himmler's masseuse. He spends a lot of one-on-one time with him. Everything he says that Himmler said to him isn't a lie, but because we know he falsified documents, and it's also very hard to trust him too much, right?
Yeah.
And he is our first source on Himmler's growing distaste for marriage, which Kersten claims that Himmler goes on a rant about marriage to him and describes marriage as the Catholic Church's satanic achievement. And he argues, quote, with bigamy, each wife would act as a stimulus to the other so that they both would try to be their husband's dream woman. No more untidy hair, no more slovenliness.
He mixed it with
their
capitalism.
Models, which will intensify these reflections, will be the ideals of beauty projected by art and the cinema. Yes.
He mixed polygamy with capitalism. He's like, listen, it's competition. Competition gives us the best product. Oh, this guy.
And it makes the women work harder.
It makes them be better. Yeah, if you're competing, hey baby, you got to perform, baby. You can't have no headache. You know what I'm saying? Because listen, it's wife number 4 ain't got no headache. Yeah, no, this is awful.
And again, I don't trust that as an exact. Kersten pulls out a lot of long, direct quotes from Himmler saying, and then he went on this rant.
Yeah,
and
he
here's
ain't
the text
say all
of it.
that.
And it's like, I don't know, man. You're not taking notes when you're massaging him. Now, that said, based on other things Himmler is doing at this time, I don't doubt Kersten that Himmler went on rants about marriage to him. And I think that broadly, because these are points Himmler will make in other ways. So this is not an area in which I totally doubt Kersten, but you should not view that as like a direct quote. And Kersten is not an unproblematic source. Anytime you read an article being like, based on what Himmler told his massage artist, take that with a grain of salt until you can find outside verification, because Kersten is problematic, right?
But I tell you what, though, if I'm the massage artist, as he's called now, I personally would take the rants about marriage over some sort of Wotan mythology that you supposed to tell me about that the ancestors just told you. Like, I would like, okay, like, will you shut up about the runes? Yeah. So what are your thoughts on marriage? Like, just to get you to shut up about the runes.
Yeah, I just really need you to stop talking about these fucking runes.
Yes, please.
And so obviously September 1st, 1939 is the day Germany invades Poland, right? If you want, this episode will come out after the 1st of September. Unfortunately, there's a great J.G. Thirlwell who performs under the name Fetus. He's a musical artist, Foetus. It's the version of the word fetus with an E in it.
Yeah.
Great musician. He does like the soundtrack to the TV show Venture Brothers, or did back in the day.
Okay.
He's got a song called I'll Meet You in Poland, Baby, that's about the German-Soviet invasion.
Yeah.
Great song about the invasion of Poland if you're looking for a musical accompaniment to this part of the episode. But September 1st, Germany invades. And if you remember, the direct justification for the invasion is that Polish soldiers wind up there's a gunfight, on the border that they blame on, like, oh, look, the Poles, some of these dead guys were wearing Polish uniforms. Like, we've been attacked, and now this is an act of defense. And this is a false flag operation, and it's put together by the SS. Like, Himmler's SS does the false flag. That's the justification. That doesn't mean that Himmler's why they go to war. Like, Hitler had made the decision. This was just kind of, and it was lazy. This never really, no one believes this, right? But within a few weeks of the invasion, it becomes clear to Himmler casualties are mounting.
Yeah.
And so he never quite has the courage to go openly and be like, we need to get rid of monogamy for our soldiers. This is not the kind of thing that he's willing to be as open about as he wants to be.
He's growing. He's learning that you can't just say what's on your mind. Okay.
You've got to be, and so here's how he does it. This is his way of kind of threading that needle and not being like, and this is because I'm trying to destroy the Christian idea of marriage and family. Instead, he justifies it as an emergency order for like maintaining like the health of the race. So he issues this he issues on October 28th, 1939, an SS decree for the entire SS and German police forces. Quote, beyond the limits of bourgeoisie laws and conventions, which are perhaps necessary in other circumstances, it can be a noble task for German women and girls of good blood to become, even outside marriage, not lightheartedly, but out of a deep moral seriousness, mothers of the children of soldiers going to war, of whom fate alone knows whether they will return or die for Germany. During the last war, many a soldier decided from a sense of responsibility to have no more children during the war so that his wife would not be left in need and distress after his death.
Good.
USS men need not have these anxieties. They are removed by the following regulation, right? And so that's what he's number one, trying to make the argument that, like, look, German women, it's not shameful to have a kid out of wedlock if it's with a soldier, right? So first off, we need to change the way people are talking about, these unwed mothers, right?
Yeah, for
if
now.
they're the right kind.
Now, guys, for now. I'm just saying for now. Okay.
For now, we're introducing policies to ensure that, we'll promise to take care of you and your kids if you just wind up shacking up with a soldier, because all that matters is continuing the bloodlines,
dude,
right?
And I can see him just cloaking this in progressive talk to be like, there shouldn't be a stigma around this. Okay.
Yeah, there shouldn't be a stigma around this because it's good for the race.
It's good for everybody. Listen, if you want, like, you don't have to, he's going to die. Like, and your husband is right. Like, he should not, you shouldn't be burdened with this. So, just, it's fine. Like, what a cloak of progression you can put on this. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly it. And like this is the cloak he picks. And it's not coincidental. He writes this is like October 28th of 1939. 2 years before publishing this, Heinrich Himmler hires a 25-year-old secretary named Hegwid Potas.
Here we go.
Now, we don't know exactly when they started stuppen, but by 1940, at the very latest, they're banging, right? And I think they probably started their physical relationship earlier than that, maybe not long after she gets hired, but I don't know. I think my feelings are shared somewhat by the authors of The Private Heinrich Himmler, which is that book based on all of his letters, he and Marga's letters to each other.
Yeah.
That's partly written by one of his, I think it's his granddaughter, Katrina. And in that book, the authors note that by 1940, at the latest, Heinrich and Marga's marriage was no longer working well.
Yeah.
In terms of like when Heinrich and Hedwig got together.
Yeah.
The book cites a letter Hedwig wrote her sister at the end of 41 in which she claimed, Christmas 1938, we had a frank conversation during which we confessed that we were hopelessly in love. But they're trying to figure out, is there an honorable way for us to get together, right? And, divorce isn't honorable, right? So like we can't do that publicly. That's still not something, even though in the SS, maybe that would be more acceptable. Like you don't have to just be aware of them, right?
Yeah.
How can we possibly make this work? Now, this could mean that they talk about being in love, but they still wait you 2 years to consummate things physically. I suspect that by Christmas of 38, they're fucking. And after that, they decide they're in love. And then they try to figure out how can we find an honorable way to be together, right?
Yeah, let's reverse engineer this, the justification here. Yeah, totally.
If that's the case, then we can see maybe even outside of his Volkish mystic beliefs, maybe even race isn't the primary reason Himmler does this at all. Maybe that's just a useful excuse, because by late 1939, he's either fucking or very much wants to be fucking this girl. Mm-hmm. And this gives him an honorable way out, right? Mm-hmm. Now I've changed the policy for everybody. Now having mistresses is, you're basically ordered as a man in the SS. You're supposed to have mistresses, right? Because you're probably not breeding enough otherwise, right?
It's for the culture, man.
It's for the culture, right?
Okay.
So he and Hedwig have a child together, and from the end of the 30s on, Heinrich is primarily a husband and father to his original family in name only. Marga wrote in November of 1940 that since Heinrich had moved her and the kids out of the farm and to Berlin, which they do in the late 30s, quote, I have been almost entirely alone, right? Mm-hmm. He almost abandons them. He's sending letters, he visits occasionally, but he is now interested in Hedwig and the new family he's starting with her, right?
Younger model.
Yeah, and obviously, as he's starting this affair, as he's pushing increasingly his weird religious beliefs through his personal magazine, the Third Reich is preparing for war, is starting war. They invade Poland, which brings in the UK, and it brings in France, and suddenly we're looking at a world war, right?
Yeah.
And this is a problem because, like, for one thing, Himmler had considered this war is like the next generation, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to have to fight this war, obviously. Like, that can't be the case. So they're shocked, and then they're shocked at how well it goes, right? That, like, oh, we took Poland pretty easily.
Yeah.
And then, like, we beat France way more easily than anyone had been. Like, people had been worried within the Nazi party, within the Wehrmacht. Can we, is this just another disaster?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of not. Right?
Yeah.
So there's both this sense of like exuberance. Some people, Heinrich is one of them, start to feel like I'm fucking invulnerable, right?
Wait a minute.
Nothing can stop us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that comes with that is they start to, as they're massively expanding, they're taking in all of these Jews. And this had started before the war as they're annexing Czechoslovakia and Austria, right? Uh-huh. And Himmler and the SD under Heydrich had gotten the job of deporting Jews from these annexed territories, right? Mm-hmm. On November 8th, 1938, just before Kristallnacht, Himmler gave a speech in which he acknowledged, the Jews cannot remain in Germany. It's only a matter of years. We shall increasingly drive them out with unparalleled and ruthless brutality. So it's a statement about what's going to happen. It's a statement about what's already happening, but it's also not evidence that at this point, Himmler knows what the Holocaust is going to be. He's talking about driving them out, not killing them.
Yeah, he's like, just get rid of them. I just don't want them here.
And that's what they're doing. They're basically, they're forcing people to self-deport in as much as possible, right? Like that's what Eichmann is doing at this point. They're organizing like deportations.
Yeah.
In his biography of Himmler, Longrich notes, Himmler made no reference to the actual situation, and the formulation that they would drive the Jews out in the course of years does not suggest that at that point he was working on the assumption that there was about to be a dramatic new development in the persecution of the Jews.
Yeah.
Now, in the early stages of World War II, a couple of important things happen. Number one is that they start to gear up after, their success in France. They start preparing for a war in the East, in which they know they're going to be taking a lot more Jews.
Yeah.
And they're going to need new solutions for dealing with them, a number far in excess of anything they'd had to deal with before. So these conversations by 41 that are going to culminate in 42 in the actual plan for the Holocaust start happening. And another major thing that happens in 41, kind of right as the war is kicking off, is that Rudolf Hess, Hitler's deputy, he's one of these guys who's deeply worried about the war. Number one, again, he'd hoped that we wouldn't be going to war against the whole world quite yet, right? That we had more time. And he doesn't want Germany to be at war with Great Britain, right? He's kind of an Anglophile. He believes that the two countries are natural allies, and he's made connections within the British royal family. Mm-hmm. And so Hess, who is the other big occult guy in the Nazi hierarchy, decides, I'm going to fly to Scotland on my own in my private plane and negotiate peace alone, right? And he winds up parachuting out of a plane near Glasgow and just getting arrested immediately.
Immediately,
right?
bro. Yes.
Yeah. And this has an influence. This is part of why Hitler cracks down within the rest of the party on like the weird occult shit. This is when he really sours on a lot of that, because Hess had been really into that stuff, and Hess fucks up the absolute most he could have fucked up, right?
This is my favorite little morsel of the Nazi narrative, is Hess parachuting into Scotland and then being like, man, what the hell were you?
They'd be like, wait,
the
what?
fuck did you think this was?
No, we're not letting you talk to him.
Absolutely not, bro.
I think it's a former gang at this point. Yeah, fuck you.
Man,
Absolutely
what the fuck are
not.
you talking about? You came?
No.
You came here like this?
No.
Nah, fam. Yeah.
That is not going to work for us.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's super funny.
Yes.
You know what else is funny, Prop?
How long this shit is?
How long this shit is, but it's over for today.
Okay. Oh, so we're not done.
No, we're not done.
No,
okay. We're not done.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
we'll see. I'll figure it out. I mean, we could call the episodes here and be like, I've led you up to World War II, right? The SS is built, it's founded, you know. That may be the right thing to do, and we'll come back later to talk about Himmler during World War II and the SS during World War II. That's probably the right call. We've got 6 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably what we'll do, and I'll get to the rest of Himmler later. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, we'll come back during Christmas. Yeah. So we'll just ruin your Christmas.
Yeah. We'll give you more Himmler soon. But that's all the Himmler you're getting for today, you know?
Yes.
He's at his peak, right? The war is starting. He's the last crazy occult guy really left in the high ranks of power. He's holding his blood rituals, allegedly, at Wewelsburg Castle. There's some people claim that they were like sacrificing babies. There's no evidence of that, but they were definitely holding like candlelit rituals. Yeah. And like, they had like, a room where all of the dead of the SS are inscribed in the shrine. And like they are doing like ceremonies and spells and stuff.
Yeah, actual weird shit.
Like they're trying to do magic in their magic castle.
Yes.
Spoiler, it does not win the war for them. But, you know, maybe it'll work for you.
Sorry, Wotan, it didn't work.
Yeah, it turns out Wotan was not on their side.
Wotan is something you can fuck with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people did successfully. Yeah.
Yes.
So, Prop, you got anything to plug?
Man, I do, man. Going back to the poetry record that is out now. You know, if you're going to do streaming, I get it. You do what you got to do. It's fine. I can't tell you to not go to the store. But if you're going to pick a streamer, I guess I'd rather you pick Apple Music in relation to the other, you know, or just don't do the Spotify thing. You know what I mean? I mean, if you want to, I will take the money. But like, as in money, I mean the 0.2 tenths of a cent. But I'll take it. Yeah, the point is just there's a new poetry album. It's called The Beautiful Endling that I'm super proud of, that we'll probably talk about a little bit on the tap-ins on the Hood Politics with Prop, which is also going well, which we are just cooking with peanut oil over there and having a good time. As good a time as we can. Yes.
Awesome. Well, everyone, have a good time with Prop. If you have some cash to spare, the Portland Defense Fund could use donations. They help people who have literally no one else backing them up get out of jail, get bailed out, and get basic support so they can like get home, so they can have someone take care of their pets, all the kind of shit that happens when people get arrested. If you go to at Defense Fund PDX on Venmo, you can send them money. They are a 501c3. You can also go to just Google Donor Box Defense Fund PDX and donate. So please, thank you.
Word.
We love you. Try not to be Heinrich Himmler.
Men used to go to war.
That's right. Not Heinrich Himmler, but other men.
Behind the Bastards is a production of Cool Zone Media. For more from Cool Zone Media, visit our website, coolzonemedia.com, or check us out on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Behind the Bastards is now available on YouTube. New episodes every Wednesday and Friday. Subscribe to our channel, youtube.com/@BehindTheBastards.
Life gets messy. Spills, stains, pet accidents, and kid chaos. But with Anabay, cleaning up is easy. Our sofas are fully machine washable, inside and out. so you never have to stress about messes again. Made with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics, that means fewer stains and more peace of mind. Designed for real life, our sofas feature changeable fabric covers, allowing you to refresh your style anytime. Need flexibility? Our modular design lets you rearrange your sofa effortlessly. Perfect for cozy apartments or spacious homes. Plus, they're earth-friendly and built to last. That's why over 200,000 happy customers have made the switch. Upgrade your space today. Sofas start at just $699. Visit washablesofas.com now and bring home a sofa made for life. That's washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
A BetterHelp ad. We get it. February is full of flowers, candy, and, of course, lots of talk about relationships. It can feel like everyone else has it all together in their love lives. But the truth is, we're all still figuring it out. Whether you're working on your marriage, navigating the dating apps, or prioritizing staying single, no matter where you are, you're right on time. Therapy can help you find your way and take some of the pressure off yourself so you can determine what you want, what feels heavy, and how you can feel lighter. Just a little bit of outside perspective from a professional can lead to new understanding and a lot of progress. So the next time you're feeling iffy about your love life, try therapy with BetterHelp and see where it takes you. And remember, you're right on time. Visit BetterHelp.com for 10% off. That's BetterHelp.com.
Flag football is exploding, and iFlag is leading the way. As the Guinness World Record holder, iFlag hosts premier flag football tournaments nationwide for boys, girls, high school girls, and adults. From first-time players to elite competitors, iFlag delivers top-level competition, unforgettable experiences, and a community built around the game. Ready to be part of it? Join the movement. Find your tournament and learn more at iflag.org. That's iflag.org.
This is Radhi Devlukia from A Really Good Cry. I absolutely love getting outside, whether it's a quick walk or a mindful few steps between meetings, or even a longer run to just clear my head. But the one thing that can really ruin that for me is shoes that just don't feel right. That's why I started wearing Ultra Running. With the Ultra Fit, every step feels comfortable, balanced, and strong, like my feet can finally move freely. What really stood out to me was the roomy toe box. My toes actually now have room to spread out, which makes movement feel more natural and comfortable. And when your feet aren't cramped, you feel more balanced, like every step has a strong, stable foundation. I've noticed that with extra space, my foot muscles get to work building strength, so I can actually move with more confidence. Ultra fits and moves with you no matter your pace or your goals. Beginner or marathon runner, they've really become my go-to for any kind of running or training, and I always feel like my feet can do exactly what they're meant to do. Feel the difference by visiting ultrarunning.com and use my code CRY10 for 10% off. That's ultra, ALTRA, running.com. Experience Ultra and stay out there.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.